Hi everyone, this is Deb Tim, a Canadian girl, and today I'm sharing with you my recipe that I make of my gel food for all my fish. So please stay tuned. So today I'm going to take you through the process of making gel food. I have watched many videos on gel food and I've researched the needs of my fish and come up with a good recipe that my fish love. So this recipe has some versatility in that you can use different meats. I am using chicken hearts at this point, but you can use fillets of fish, you can use shrimp, beef heart, anything that is pure and unprocessed that you think they may like. Now I'm also adding 1 large English cucumber, and again this is where versatility comes in. You can use any vegetable from sweet potatoes to lettuce to whatever you prefer. But any dark vegetables have a higher content of beta-carotene, which is a color enhancer. So I like to stick to the darker green vegetables. I also add Phytochem, which is a multivitamin suitable for all my fish. And Garlic Guard is a flavor enhancer for picky eaters. And I find when I'm introducing a new type of food, this goes a long way in encouraging the fish to try or sample food that they're not that they don't recognize. So I also add pure spirulina powder, and you can purchase this at health food stores or many other places. I also purchased these carnivore mounds, and they make such a mess of my aquariums when they are eaten by the fish. The fish love them. They're full of protein and spirulina and seaweed and all kinds of wonderful things, but they are a little hard. Let me just show you. I'll get one out here. They're actually quite big. They are like a little puck, and they're like hard as rock. If I were to bite into it, I might break my tooth. But you just toss in a couple of these into your tank, but I'm telling you, for hours afterwards, your tank is full of green floaties. It really makes a mess of your tank, and I don't like using that way. So this is one way I found I can use them up and my fish will benefit from them without me having to get all excited about having a dirty tank. So, and finally I have Ken's Premium Vegetable Wafers. Any kind of veggie wafers do, and in fact you don't have to put them in, but I have quite a few bags, so rather than have them go old and stale, I toss in a few each time I make this recipe, and it's just another green product that is going to enhance the color. I forgot to mention the Knox unflavored gelatin I use, a vital part of this recipe. So beginning with the chicken hearts, they have a thick little end of fat, and in that end there's also an artery. So you want to cut that completely off so you have 100% pure meat without any fat. So it'll take a little time, but cut each heart, put them separately into a clean container so that when you're all done cutting them, you can wash them up and they'll be ready for the next step. So my chicken hearts are prepared, and now I'm moving on to the cucumbers. Now the cucumbers, you don't need to remove the seed because the fish will eat the seeds. But I remove them because I want to control how wet my recipe gets. Plus, I have a worm bin, and the worms love any kind of scraps I give them. So I always keep them in mind. So I just chunk up the cucumber bits into healthy sizes because the food processor will take them down to nothing in no time flat. I will be using the entire cucumber because it is such a good part of this recipe and so full of color enhancing stuff that it can only benefit my fish. I mean, I hang up cucumbers in their tank, and I have shown videos where all there's left is a paper-thin shell. So my Mbuna absolutely love cucumber. So I just finished chopping this up and get it ready. Then we can start mixing. So I'll cut this up for my worm bin. See, around here nothing goes to waste. There we go. So here we are with our first part going into the food processor. We'll start by adding the chicken hearts and getting them blended nice and smooth. Goes really quick. It probably under a minute to get them completely mushy. And that's how you want them to be. Okay, that should be good. Let's stop it. There we go. It's quite mushy. The texture is like mush. It's really mush. That's it. So next we're adding cucumber. We'll get that all blended in nicely. And once that's done, we can go on to the next step. Just add a good handful at a time. Allow the food processor to do its job. And the whole process does not take long at all. Next, we're going to add the pure spirulina powder. I add 2 tablespoons of spirulina powder to this recipe. These heaping tablespoons, I might add. And this is where it gets its dark, rich color. So the next thing I add is just a handful of the algae wafers. There's probably a dozen in there. And I'll add another probably dozen or so, 8. I'm going to add 8 mounds to the recipe. And I put the lid on and I give that a chance to blend up nice and smooth. So the next thing I add is my garlic gourd. I add 2 cupfuls of garlic gourd. And next I will add 2 teaspoons of the Phytochem. I just use my pipette and add 3 or 4 milliliters, whatever my full pipette holds. Once it's in there, I give it a good stir to mix it well. So the next thing I do is I use a half a cup of boiling water, add 2 envelopes of the Knox unflavored gelatin, whip it up nice and smooth, make sure it's dissolved. Then I stir it into my food mixture and I pour it onto a parchment paper layered pan. Then I just spread it out. Now you can use whatever pan size you like to get the squares the size you would like. Mine I like about 1/4 inch thick. So here you can see my gel food is ready. The parchment paper just makes it nice and easy to lift out. You can see it's got a good jelly feel to it. So here's my finished product. These are frozen. After the pan has set, then I move it to the freezer and let it freeze up nice and hard. I cut the gel food into nice little squares, and this is how I feed it to my fish. I usually just take a handful out every couple of days and let it thaw and feed them from that. Now, depending on the type of fish I'm feeding, of course, these chunks are too big for some fish, so they allow me to cut them into small little cubes, like for my betta fish or my fry. But everyone loves them and they're good for them. So until next time, this is Deb Tim signing out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.